Right now, you believe something that isn't true. You believe your memory works like a camera. You believe it records your life and stores it, frame by frame, waiting to be replayed. It doesn't. Most of what you call your past never actually happened the way you remember it. What if the story of your life has been quietly rewritten and you were never told? Think about your earliest memory. Maybe you're 3 years old, standing in a kitchen, or falling off a bike, or holding your mother's hand at the beach. It feels real. It feels solid. But here's the strange part. The human brain cannot reliably form long-term memories before the age of 2 or 3. So that vivid scene in your head, the one you'd swear happened exactly like that, is very likely something else entirely. A photograph you saw later, a story told at a family dinner, a memory borrowed and then claimed as your own. This isn't a flaw, it's how memory is built. In the 1990s, psychologist Elizabeth Loftus ran an experiment that changed how we understand the human mind. She and her team convinced ordinary adults that, as children, they had once been lost in a shopping mall. It never happened. There was no evidence for it. But after a few gentle conversations, roughly a quarter of participants didn't just believe the story, they elaborated on it. They added details. They described the fear, the layout of the mall, the stranger who helped them. Their brains didn't retrieve a false memory. Their brains built one from nothing and then defended it as truth. So if memory can manufacture entire events, what does that mean for the ones you already trust? Harvard psychologist Daniel Schachter spent decades studying exactly this question. He found that memory isn't a single system. It's 7 distinct, fallible processes, which he called the 7 sins of memory. Some memories fade simply from disuse. Others get distorted every time you recall them, because remembering isn't playback, it's reconstruction. Every time you revisit a memory, your brain rebuilds it from fragments, and it uses your current mood, your current beliefs, and your current identity to fill in the gaps. You're not remembering the past. You're rewriting it in the present and then calling it history, and it goes deeper than distortion. Neuroscientist Kareem Nader discovered that the simple act of recalling a memory makes it temporarily unstable, chemically vulnerable to change, before it locks back into place. He called this reconsolidation. It means every single time you think about something that happened to you, you are, in a very real sense, touching wet paint. The memory can shift slightly with each retrieval. Tell a story enough times, and eventually the story you're telling is no longer the event. It's the story. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. This isn't a malfunction. It's not something wrong with your brain. It's the design. A brain that stored every second of your life in perfect detail would be paralyzed by irrelevant information. So instead, it keeps the emotional core of an experience and discards the rest, then reconstructs the missing pieces on demand, using guesswork dressed up as certainty. That guesswork feels exactly like truth from the inside. There is no warning label. There is no asterisk telling you which parts are real and which parts your mind invented to make the story make sense. So the argument you had with your sibling about how something really happened, you might both be wrong. The childhood memory that shaped how you see yourself, it may be a composite stitched together from other people's retellings. The version of you that exists in your own memory has been edited more times than you'll ever know, by an editor you never hired and can't fire. You didn't lose 90% of your life to forgetting. You lost it to a brain that was never trying to preserve your past in the first place. It was trying to build you a usable present, using your past as raw material. And it's still doing that right now, every time you remember anything at all. So the next time you're certain about how something happened, ask yourself a quieter question first. Certain or just familiar? Because it turns out you don't remember your life. You remember the last time you remembered it.